a missing person commission has been assigned as a first task. It's described as completely safe, requiring no combat or venturing into hollows. The assignment is presented as an ideal way to test skills beyond just navigating hollows, including gathering intelligence, spotting details, and negotiating. The commission provides minimal information, just a photo of a woman with covered eyes, a harmonica, and sheet music. No name or background is provided. The client suggests trying to play the sheet music with the harmonica if progress stalls. A memory surfaces about seeing a similar woman at Port Elpice during a previous visit. At Port Elpice, after finding no leads, playing the harmonica with the provided sheet music attracts a woman who matches the photo. She introduces herself as Karen, explaining she moves quietly by nature and expresses interest in meeting the client who knows the melody. Back at the store, Charon reveals she lost most of her vision in an accident but has developed extremely sharp hearing. She identifies a faulty TV unit through sound alone. She explains that she relies on her other senses to function normally and perceives the world differently. The information broker reports the client is unreachable and sent only a location at the edge of a hollow. Charon volunteers to investigate, revealing she's a former soldier from the Eridu Defense Forces Crystal Barrel Division with extensive hollow experience. Despite initial hesitation, her determination secures agreement to proceed together. Entering the hollow, Karen claims to know the route, but eventually admits to misremembering. The party observes her exceptional mobility despite visual impairment. Karen explains she possesses Ather vision, allowing her to detect etheric fluctuations of humans, ethereals, and objects. The group discovers a body with a bullet wound. Charon identifies it as the work of a sniper like herself and warns that the killer might still be nearby. As they proceed, they encounter high-pressure Ather storage tanks, military-grade equipment rarely found on the black market. Using her Ather vision, Charon helps disable the leaking Ather tanks to reduce ethereal threats. Further ahead, they discover 4 unconscious survivors, one with a serious lung injury from a bullet wound, while the other 3 have only minor injuries. A critically wounded person with fading etheric fluctuations is beyond saving despite attempts to help. The victim, aware of their impending death, pleads for assistance while expressing fear and a desire to return home. Their internal organs are ruptured, and they will bleed out before any rescue team can arrive. Someone experiences pain when witnessing death, explaining it as a rejection reaction related to their special eyes. The group discovers a conscious survivor who recalls being dragged into the hollow by a madman. The attacker has apparently fled, so they prepare to evacuate the survivors together. The survivors thank their rescuer and introduce themselves. Zoe, former Defense Force now at a private company. Jesse, information broker, and Erin, former Defense Force, currently unemployed. Erin inquires about her missing blonde friend who is kidnapped with her. They realize all survivors have connections to the Defense Force's Obsidian Division. Further investigation reveals that the 3 survivors' squads, Cardus, Noct, and Empyra, worked together during the fall of the old capital. The rescuer explains they're searching for someone important who sent them the hollow's location. The survivors are warned to stay vigilant as they might be targeted again. The rescuer explains their decision to withhold information about casualties, noting that backup forces might struggle against the sniper killer who knows how to inflict precise fatal and non-fatal wounds. Time is essential to find the client who might be the very person they've been searching for. A rescuer reveals their personal connection to this mission. They're searching for missing teammates who were like family. The client played a melody called Homecoming that only their military squad knew, giving them the first lead in years about their possibly alive teammates. At the new hollow entrance, the group discovers a recently placed communicator. Through it, someone calling themselves Grim Vulture contacts them, identifying the rescuer as Kara of Liar Squad and claiming responsibility for the murders. Grim Vulture threatens Kara as the next target. A tense exchange reveals both Kara and Grim Vulture are preparing for a sniper confrontation. Grim Vulture taunts them to enter the hollow to find what they're looking for, warning they'll have to survive both attacks and ethereals. The group discovers a suspicious box left as a gift. A tense conversation reveals that someone has been leaving disturbing mementos from fallen comrades. A cap belonging to Styx is discussed, with claims that he committed suicide to avoid becoming an ethereal, as his body was being corrupted by ether crystals. According to the antagonist, Styx used his own cannon to destroy both his core and heart rather than fully transform. The antagonist taunts the protagonist to pursue them to another location. The team encounters dangerous ethereals and a high-pressure ether tank during their pursuit. They successfully overcome this obstacle and continue their pursuit of the antagonist, referred to as a murderer. The antagonist presents Acheron's gloves, describing her gruesome death with ethereals having gnawed off her arms and part of her leg. Despite these injuries, the antagonist notes she maintained her dignity even in death. The protagonist vows to find the antagonist's hideout and end this psychological game. The antagonist, identified as Grim Vulture, reveals that one final surprise awaits at the end of their route. The team advances cautiously through combat situations with the sniper taking point. Upon reaching their destination, they discover a third box containing bloody fabric from Cocidus's clothes and damaged engineering gear with Leafy's blood. The team confronts the antagonist for mentally torturing their comrade with mementos of her squad mates. Grim Vulture admits the items are fakes and claims they couldn't have obtained genuine artifacts since the squad members are dead in the hollow. Combat ensues with snipers exchanging fire. A debate emerges about whether Karen's squad is still alive. Grim Vulture insists they died during the fall of the old capital, becoming ethereals or being killed by them. Grim Vulture accuses Karen of deceiving her proxy and living in denial about her comrades' deaths. Jaren reveals she lost 90% of her vision during the capital's fall but gained the ability to see visions of her squad mates, which she interprets as proof they're alive. Grim Vulture ridicules this belief, calling her a selfish coward who couldn't protect her team and now fabricates stories to avoid facing reality. After escaping from Grim Vulture, Jaren expresses doubt about her beliefs. She admits Grim Vulture's words affected her, making her question whether her squad mates truly survived. The proxy offers support and asks about what happened when the old capital fell. Jaren recounts how Liar Squad was deployed to contain Hollow Zero's expansion. The situation deteriorated rapidly, with ethereals overwhelming them and promised reinforcements never arriving. Jaren was injured by an ether shot to her eyes and lost consciousness. The last thing she saw was a squadmate looking back at her before she was evacuated alone. In a moment of vulnerability, a character questions why they have eyes that bring nothing but pain if their squadmates are truly gone. They express deep guilt for failing to protect their comrades and worry about facing potential resentment from them. The character can't clearly remember their faces or expressions, adding to their distress. Proxy and Bell reassure Chiron they support his resolve to find his missing squadmates. They relate to his situation, mentioning someone close to them is missing too. They advise that although persistence is important, being consumed by obsession isn't what loved ones would want. They emphasize Chiron's kindness and offer to help carry his burden. The group receives a new location from their client on Knock Knock. Instead of another hollow, the location is Scott Outpost, which is managed by the Defense Force and White Star Institute. They realize it's Remembrance Day and the outpost is open to the public, making them question whether Grim Vulture is taunting them or setting a trap. A young girl apologizes for previously blaming the protagonist for abandoning her father. Her mother explains the girl was too young to understand what happened. The protagonist still feels guilty for not being strong enough to save everyone during the fall of the old capital, but the mother and daughter express gratitude for the protagonist's protection. Family members of fallen comrades share how they've carried on their loved ones' legacies. One woman explains how survivor benefits help her daughter get into art school, fulfilling her late husband's dream. An elderly person underwent life-saving surgery using death benefits. Another became a fashion designer to honor a comrade who loved fashion. The protagonist expresses gratitude for hearing everyone's stories. The group discovers they were all summoned by someone named Nathan, Lethe's younger brother. who was part of the reinforcement squad that retreated during the disaster. Nathan has wanted to apologize to the protagonist for years about the retreat decision, which may provide an answer the protagonist was seeking. The scene shifts to a Remembrance Day ceremony where Zoe from Nemesis Squad delivers a speech. She reveals she's the sole survivor of whose squad after the old capital fell. Initially, her speech honors the fallen soldiers, emphasizing their sacrifice was not in vain and encouraging citizens to move forward while carrying the memory of the departed. Zoe's speech takes an unexpected turn as she critiques how people cope with tragedy. She suggests that new Eridu citizens use phrases like treasure the moment and start fresh to numb themselves and forget the nightmare of the disaster. She points out that no one discusses why the soldiers had to die in Hollow Zero, implying uncomfortable questions remain unaddressed. In New Eridu, a speaker criticizes the city as being built by weaklings who survive while the brave perished. They challenge the audience about forgetting those who sacrificed themselves during the fall of the old capital, questioning why no one is held responsible for these deaths. The speaker, identified as Zoe, argues that pain is the cross the living must bear to honor fallen soldiers. She insists the real meaning of Remembrance Day is to keep wounds open so people never forget their pain. Charon disagrees with Zoe's perspective. He points out several audience members who found purpose through their lost loved ones. He believes the deceased left behind hope, not just wounds, comparing this legacy to a melody that each survivor carries forward in their own style. After Zoe leaves, Karen discusses with Proxy their suspicions about her real identity. They believe she is confident they won't confront her on military grounds, and predict she will contact them again soon. A client requests pictures of tied-up hostages at a hollow entrance in Port Elpice. Sharon determines this is from Grim Vulture, who's losing patience. He officially commissions Proxy to help rescue the hostages, resolving to stop Grim Vulture. Upon finding a communicator, they establish contact with the person behind the incidents, who reveals herself as Zoe, also known as Grim Vulture of Nemesis Squad. She was part in the advanced troops at Hollow Zero after the old capital fell. Zoe explains that she and Charon share similar backgrounds. Both are snipers who survived the fall of the old capital when their squads were abandoned. She reveals she let Nathan live to gather information about Charon, even disguising herself as a victim to get closer. Both Charon and Zoe experience PTSD symptoms, seeing images of their teammates before death. While Charon seeks closure through finding his missing squad mates, Zoe chose vengeance, kidnapping and killing those who abandoned her team. Charon confronts Zoe for targeting easy victims rather than those truly responsible for the old capital's fall. He vows to stop her to preserve the will and hope left by his comrades. Zoe challenges him to reach the deepest part of the hollow. Zoe reveals that the reinforcements meant to back them up had retreated based on a vote. When killing her victims, she employed the same method, making her captives vote on who would die first. A battle ensues in extreme weather conditions. Zoe taunts Charon, asking if he remembers the weather on the day the old capital fell, suggesting she's doing him a favor by allowing him to die like his teammates did. The confrontation intensifies as Charon claims Zoe is the real failure as a sniper. After a struggle, Zoe seems surprised to see Charon alone, learning that Proxy went to rescue the hostages. A defeated individual acknowledges their loss to a younger opponent who used strategy to counter their attacks. They reflect on being saved by a Harmonica and former comrades, questioning if this is destiny or the will of companions guiding them. The defeated person admits losing to various forces, ethereals, military betrayal, and now to their opponent's actions, which they view as a denial of their revenge. As death approaches, the wounded individual can no longer see visions of their comrades. They admit their injuries are fatal, but feel no pain, only relief. When asked if they intended to die, they respond with a story about their first encounter with their opponent during the fall of the old capital, when all their comrades had died, and promised reinforcements never arrived. After retreating through battle lines, they found a small squad still fighting despite severe corruption and injuries. These soldiers were protecting an unconscious girl who had lost her sight. The dying squad entrusted the girl to them, a request they couldn't refuse. They were the one who brought the opponent out of the hollow. Both individuals developed severe PTSD after these events. For one, the hardest blow was losing their squad, who were like family to an orphan. They believe if reinforcements had provided support as promised, their squad mates wouldn't have died needlessly. However, the opponent suggests that given the rapid spread of the hollow, reinforcements would have been ineffective. Despite understanding the logical decision to cancel reinforcements, seeing members of those reinforcements living happy lives later bred resentment. This led to taking several lives in revenge. After encountering the opponent again through Nathan, they recognized their similarity but opposite beliefs. One chose destruction in response to suffering, while the other chose protection. The dying person wanted to kill the complete version of their opponent who could firmly reject their answer. They hoped their death would push the opponent forward. Despite their revenge, they found only emptiness and doubt. While recognizing the opponent had gained trust and courage, they finally remembered their squad mates would never have wanted them to become vengeful. Despite being shot, they play a final melody, acknowledging they once shared the same path before diverging. They recognize their hatred twisted into sin, but credit the opponent with teaching them what hatred truly means. The opponent indicates they found someone they want revenge against. Later, the sniper meets Nathan, brother of Lethe. Nathan apologizes for causing trouble and expresses regret for not helping during the Old Capital incident. The sniper absolves him of guilt, appreciating that he still thinks of Lethe. Nathan asks the sniper to stop searching for Liar Squad members and start living their own life. Nathan reveals he commissioned the search to deliver something important, a recording found among Lethe's belongings, intended as a gift for the sniper from Liar Squad. The sniper asks to listen to it with the proxies present, which they consider an honor. The recording reveals a celebratory message from Liar Squad for the sniper's 1000th day with them. The squad members speak, revealing their personalities and relationships with the sniper. They include Akron, assault specialist, Kakitas, medic, Dix, artillery specialist, Lethe, scout and engineer, and their captain, the real Karen. A group of comrades reflects on their time together over the past 2.5 years. They acknowledge how a squad member has improved significantly as a sniper, mastering stealth, reconnaissance, and tactical countermeasures. Despite their growing expertise in combat, they still need development in social skills and personal relationships. The squad values their comrade greatly, appreciating both their talent and how they've opened up emotionally during their 1,000 days together. However, they express concern about their teammate being too sensitive when seeing others get hurt, appearing on the verge of breaking. The squad explains their philosophy about protection, that no one should shoulder everything alone. They emphasize that choosing to fight is their own resolve, and as long as everyone gives their all, there's no such thing as failing to protect something because their collective will continues in other ways. They reveal recording this message out of fear their comrade might blame themselves for failing to protect the squad someday. They encourage their friend to be more vulnerable, to rely on others, and share their burdens. They offer a song called Homecoming to help convey these feelings. The scene shifts to a conversation with someone named Proxy, reflecting on a moment of parting and finding an answer they were seeking. Then it transitions to a conversation with Belle, expressing gratitude for recent help with personal matters. Belle and Wise acknowledge a deep connection with the person they've been helping, suggesting they've shared the same resolve all along. This leads to a confession. The person has been using the codename Charon dishonestly, as it belonged to their former captain. It's revealed that Nathan offered the person called Sharon an opportunity to return to the Defense Force with a new squad. Sharon decides to accept, driven by a new goal, investigating the fall of the Old Capital and uncovering those responsible, motivated by both vengeance and protection. Belle and Wise suggest they shouldn't learn Charon's true codename yet, implying they're on different but ultimately converging paths. They admit feeling powerless after a dangerous encounter with Grim Vulture and not yet being strong enough to protect Karen, or share their own pasts. Charon accepts their decision, cherishing their time together as proxies and agreeing to continue on separate paths toward the same destination. They promise to reveal their true codename when they meet again, hoping to become true comrades. In the final scene, the former sniper of Liar Squad joins the new Eridu Defense Force, applying for the Obsidian Division's Obel Squad. When asked about their previous codename, they reveal it: Trigger. This confirms that the person previously using Karen's name was actually Trigger all along.